All right, the week started off with discussions on possible changes to the Nigerian constitution, with women also calling for special reserved seats in the National Assembly to improve female representation. And after 6 months away on a controversial suspension, Senator Natasha Abba made a long-awaited, somewhat defiant return to her office in the Senate. And some news that excited political watchers around the country. Former President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan met with prominent members of the African Democratic Congress ADC, fueling rumors of a possible return to politics and an alignment with the new coalition. Well, my guests today have kept up with all the headlines and are experts at unearthing the stories beneath the stories. And they are public policy analyst and development expert Abba Kaka, current affairs analyst and professor of communications at Bayes University, Abuja, Adeniyi. And at our offsite studio is public affairs analyst Iroegbu, who is both a member of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, and an obedient. Gentlemen, glad to have you join me on Arise Prime Time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, so many issues, but let's start off with Onga. What is happening at Onga, where Nigeria Security Council, the Vice President talked about Nigeria getting a permanent seat on the Security Council, and Nigeria aligned with other countries too on the two-state solution for Palestine, and then of course reforms at UN veto at UN, and then the veto Ramaphosa of South Africa talked about veto power should not be talked about this time. Netanyahu's speech doesn't work out when he was doing his speech there. So let me start with you, Abba Kaka. What do you make of the Vice President's speech? Africa asking for permanent seat. What do you make of that?
Okay, thank you very much for having me again this week. Actually, it was a fantastic and superb speech by the Vice President, who is actually eloquent and very, very experienced and, a smart leader. He has put the position of the country very well as far as Nigeria is concerned at the diplomatic level. The issue of a permanent seat is very, very dicey in the sense that, permanent seat at the United Nations is not a joke. You have to do your homework. Are we doing our homework? Right now for the past 2.5 years, we don't have ambassadors anywhere. So who is speaking for Nigeria? That's another issue. And in the speech, he also mentioned the issue of debt relief as well as the permanent seat. So when you're looking for debt relief, you don't want to show your vulnerability. That's a game of the big numbers and big players at that level. As a student of international relations, I can also tell you that you don't get a permanent seat, just like that by wishing to get. You have to have a concrete, strategic move being pushed by your diplomats. And right now, we don't have diplomats anywhere. It's very unfortunate for 2.5 years that diplomats are missing. So we have our competitors like Egypt and South Africa and Tunisia and others who have been at the world stage. Nigeria is eminently qualified to get the seat. Don't get me wrong. But what we have is historical records. But currently speaking, South Africa that we actually saved from apartheid regime is right now, economically speaking, is in front of Nigeria. Diplomatically speaking, they are way, way ahead of us. And, it shouldn't be like that. We have fine diplomats, extremely, distinguished and experienced diplomats. And, we have to do the homework. We have to get back to the basics. Are we really serious about getting this permanent seat? Even though the 5 permanent members are actually not willing to, yield because, for the obvious reasons of how the United Nations itself was set up since Second World War. So we have to, the Vice President has done well by giving the speech, but you don't get it just by wishing it.
All right, you'd want to come in, Prof. Remember, there's the question of Ramaphosa saying, veto power, we should just leave, no time for veto power. And then I'm sure you listened to the Prime Minister of Israel today make a speech saying no. I mean, it was blatant no for the Palestinian, for the two-solution Palestinian state.
Yeah, I think Abba Kaka's sentiments resonates with me. It also defines what we've been seeing analysts saying after the exceptional delivery by our Vice President, Shettima. Also typical of him is he can be very oratorical, very confident speaker on account of deep intellectual flavor. But beyond what Abba Kaka said, which is actually the fact, is for us to understand that global rating of any nation is subject to the extent to which domestic policies are solid. If the domestic policy is not solid at the level of economics, at the level of politics, at the level of stability and predictability is going to rub off on how they are rated outside. And to talk about a UN permanent seat, it looks like the highest level of rating, considering that the United Nations is the only or the main multilateral agency that we have now, even though there are limitations with respect to its power and influence. But at least in terms of acceptance, it appears to be the only one. So it's an opportunity. Yes, every now and again we have called for the democratization of the states, and Nigeria, considering our population, is right to continue to advocate for it. But beyond the advocacy is the need for us to continuously look inwards as well. If we look inwards, tighten our grip on all our sectors, make ourselves prouder than we presently are, and then we should expect other parts of the world to also be respectful of us. The government has done nothing wrong in making that call, but we have to be sensitive to the indices that are letting us. The indices presently letting us down as a nation. And what are those indices? Insecurity, debt crisis, and the question of ethics in governance. The absence of transparency, the lack of accountability, and of course problematic leadership. Irrespective of reasonable efforts on the part of sections of our leadership. Those things should actually bother us, more. And if we are able to improve in those regards, then we can say we can compete with other. Not just African nations, but other nations in the South who are also interested, in occupying, that choice, position at the United Nations.
All right, Dixon, come to you now. Quite a majority of the speakers at the UN talked about the need for reforms. Speak to that, reforms at the UN. What reforms would you want at the UN?
Thank you. One of the first things I probably will call our attention to is that this is the second time that the president of Nigeria is missing UNGA, missing being present to discuss our issues and possibly then present some of these reforms that you may want me to discuss. Because when the president is not there, yes, you would say the vice can represent him, he can delegate anyone to represent him. Yeah, but you see, that level of meeting of heads of states, it would be right for us to take seriously the need for our own president to be present at such events, to discuss our interest. You can't be discussing reforms in the absence of, I'm just a nobody to discuss reforms of the UN. But if our president, understanding that homewards there are issues to be addressed, there are things that we would expect that our interests be well represented there, he would take it seriously. Like one of my colleagues said, clearly the absence of ambassadors, of Nigeria, you wonder then what are the opportunities we can explore, who will speak for the Nigerian people. Yeah, the vice president has made his speech, but it's all talk, and talk, they say, is cheap. Home front, how is it like? How are we back home? Because we can't also be relating with the global community as though we are isolated away from them. They know how our home is, that some of the things we are clamoring for at the international scene there, that we are not even able to keep them and ensure that citizens of our country enjoys those privileges. For instance, you talked about the two-state solution that the vice president talked about, and so many other leaders of the world have spoken about and all that. Then you come back home here and you wonder who is fooling who. Here we hound down our citizens for demanding for such things as, okay, if equity, justice, and fairness has been demanded for by the vice president, if we are not getting it here, that we want exit. And people are being slaughtered in their numbers. And people are incarcerated without due process of the law and all of that. So it's important that we realize that Nigeria is not insulated away from the other parts of the globe.
Right.
So reforms, yes, we can get reforms, but it should start from home.
Yep.
That's the best I can submit right now about the 80th anniversary of hunger.
Yeah. All right, let's discuss some politics and then we'll go on to some other issues. Jonathan, that's the former president, he met with the ADC interim chairman, David Mark, just over the weekend. Remember he had earlier met with Obi at some point in time. Yeah. Now, Atiku ADC stakeholders also met in Abuja, and they're urging all members of ADC to fully register with the party. And ADC is suspending the process to register ADA, that's that party. All agree to support whoever wins their primaries when that is done. And then Tinubu, of course, being endorsed by past legislators. You had the Senate President there, Kenan Naimani, and some of them there. All right, let's speak them one by one as we take some other issues. Again, back to you, Abba Kaka. What do you think the meeting is about between interim ADC chairman, former Senate President Mark, and the former President Jonathan, Ebele Jonathan, and then of course ADC urging all these people to go register?
Yeah, actually, as you can see clearly, this 2027 is going to be very, very interesting time. This is the only time that we started a presidential election 2 years into a new term, which is very unusual. But saying that, President Jonathan, former President Jonathan, is being wooed by both the PDP as well as the ADC to contest, because he only has one term to finish, and that's a good news for the North, politically speaking. Second, the calculation is this: the opposition has a lot of joker cards right now in their hands. It depends on how they play it. But don't forget that President Bola Tinubu is a master strategist, and he is, master of this game, as you can see from things that are going on. Even let's take, for example, the southern governors and others who are coming into APC, as well as what is happening in the north. Look at the issue of Kano. When when the former national chairman Ganduje was eased out, and that was a strategic move, because I was even surprised that somebody like Ganduje was even given the national chairman in the first place. Second, that wooing, they're trying to woo our Kwankwaso back into the APC. And actually, I saw Konkoso at the Ibadan, Olu-Ibadan coronation today, where the president called him my friend. And, there is a lot of, strategic synergy and strategic move. The president is a master strategist when it comes to politics. So the opposition should not forget that. And, but they have different cards. You have the Jonathan card by itself. You have Atiku card by itself. You have Obi card by itself. Then a mixture of if Atiku and Obi matched up, that's another interesting matching. And if Jonathan emerges at the ADC, by the fact that he's going through the opposition, seems like he's not going to contest on the platform, the PDP, to me. But he has not said anything yet. So let's wait for him to say where he is or what exactly he wants to do.
What is happening, where he is, what exactly he wants to do.
Exactly.
Prof, I come to you, and then there's a question of the CPC bloc that visited Atiku. I had the chairman of CPC. INEC recognized CPC, who came here and said they don't have factions, according to him. That the CPC bloc in APC is still together. That question of 12 million votes that Atiku is trying to garner, and then will the president still retain it? Prof, over to you.
Well, this is a period for rapprochement, a period for horse trading, for weighing, alignment, and realignment. And it's often always the case when a major election is imminent. So it's not surprising to see political parties, to see chieftains meeting at different times, caucuses, consulting, etc., etc. We're going to continue to see more of this. But first, with President Jonathan, he's a very credible person, no doubt a complete gentleman, even perfectly so. And since he left power, the way he left it, his reputation has been enhanced, not just nationally, but also globally. So you can leverage that, to stage a return. And if we're talking about integrity, to a very large extent, he also has it. He has carried himself well. He's a kind of leader that anyone would want to lead a nation, one that is troubled like ours. But he has some obstacles ahead of him. I'm sure they are also concerned about how they are going to navigate that. One is there are controversies around, his constitutional suitability. I've had attorneys arguing between themselves back and forth whether or not he's qualified. That might rear its head at some point. And secondly, again, on which party is he going to run? There are reports that he's been courted by PDP as well as the ADC. So where is he going to?
Who is he pairing with?
Where is he going to settle in? And of course, these parties, ADC, PDP, are fragments of the same party. So if he runs on one of them, it might affect his chances. But I see him, becoming a very strong force if there is a cross-party affiliation, considering his personality, as the case could be. And of course, they have an opposition in a ruling party, which is also very strong, very potent. And if it's going to be presented at the end of the day, they have to put their hands together properly. And again, with respect to those who are, supporting the APC, well, this again is also speaking to our expectation of the times that we are in. The ruling party, can be very tempting. Remember, they control the levers of power, and they have the opportunity to distribute chances, to whoever come their way. So it's very, very attractive. We probably will see more of these. Some will be joining, maybe for altruistic reason, and some will also be joining for opportunistic factors. The interplay of these forces will continue and will get entertained along the line as observers of the political process, as the case could be.
An analyst of what is happening around. All right. Dixon, what do you make of ADC asking its members, they're saying now, go register with ADC? And then Atiku's meeting with the ADC stakeholders, and of course, Jonathan's meeting briefly with the former chairman. What's in the air?
I'm a very loyal member of the People's Democratic Party, and that is the party that Jonathan belongs to. He hasn't left PDP, so nobody should confuse himself or herself. Jonathan is still a member of the party, the last time I checked, though may not have been very active in the happenings and the affairs of the party. But the last time I checked, he's still a member of the PDP. And being the former president, and in fact about the last Democrat we had since 1999, is the last Democrat, if you ask me. One would expect that, seeing from the developments, political developments in the country and all of that, one can possibly project into what 2027 could look like. So we need a stabilizing figure, one who can call the attention of leaders in the country to order, either by statements or by relationship he expresses, with other politicians. I am not, but personally, I'm not excited about the rumored intention of the former president to vie again. I'm not excited about that, but about being a leader that we can, at least listen to, because it's about that same leader within the political arena at the moment, because most of the politicians in the reunion party, as I call them, they are all about themselves. It's selfish, selfish, selfish. The interest of the nation is not being put forward. So that he had a meeting with the leadership of the rented political party, the ADC. One can understand the need to galvanize leaders to come together and oust this very reunion that is in the villa at the moment. To stop it, we need to collectively come together and ensure that we stop APC from going further in ruining our country, ruining the economy, balkanizing the nation and all of it. There's a need for all of us, because 2027 is clearly going to be the Nigerian people against APC, because since they came to power in 2015, all that we have seen is a wreckage of everything positive that PDP left behind. We left a thriving economy and they bungled it. We left an environment that is a lot more united. We have seen by the seconds, every opportunity that they get is to divide the nation. And if you say, like my colleague said, that the president is a master strategist, and I wonder where this strategy has translated governance into. Where has it translated the development of Nigeria to? So this, every moment we say Tinubu is a master strategist and all of that, please, it's 2 years already, and there's nothing to show for it. All we have seen is ruins in our country. So there's nothing like master strategists in, identifying with President Tinubu. You may maybe say master poacher. You could,
right,
always go in and buy his way and all of that, grab power as he is.
All right, I don't know about.
Let me land.
I don't know. No. I'm going ahead. We're going ahead with the program. I don't know about buying his way. I know that even the president said I'm moving ahead. Even the president said he has achieved his revenue, and then what do you call it? Reserves are increasing, GDP is increasing, so there seems to be some things moving. One can understand how you feel about. Please. One can understand. Can you hold on? One can understand how you feel about Jonathan, who is a member of the PDP, hobnobbing with maybe.
He's not hobnobbing. He's a leader,
and all other parties. We'll get on to the Ogoni 4 when we come back from this. Take a little breath and come back. We'll talk about Ogoni 4 that the president just gave a posthumous award. But Still stay on Arise Prime Time. We'll be back in a bit, and we'll talk about the Ogoni 4, we'll talk about Natasha returning to the Senate, and some other issues that happened within the week. Stay with us. I'll have you back. You're still watching Arise Prime Time, and I still have in the studio with me the current affairs analyst, Abba, Kaka, the professor of communications at Base University, Adeniyi, and of course, Dixon Iroegbu, who is both a PDP member and an obedient. Now, gentlemen, within the week, the president gave a posthumous award to the Ogoni 4, the 4 that were left out from the Ogoni 9. And then there was a talk about exploration, and then, total reconciliation. He's directed the NSA, along with the stakeholders, to make sure that eventually everything that caused the crisis comes to an end and the people reconcile. One of the sons, a son of one of the people who was murdered, one of the chiefs, Bade, he was here. He said Ogoni oil is to be used when the exploration eventually starts. Ogoni oil should be used for us to develop Ogoni land. Prof, let me start with you this time. What do you make of what the president did towards reconciling Ogoni people and then, calming nerves and making sure that that episode is behind us?
Well, I'm not sure. Yes, perhaps we could say that the president's effort is commendable, but I'm not sure if we're on a path of complete reconciliation just yet, given the concerns of the individual that you referenced earlier on, one of the sons of the Ogoni 8, that were allegedly killed by the Ogoni 4, as the case could be. Those concerns are still very, very fundamental.
By the Ogoni 9.
Ogoni 9. Yeah, I can just remember that some 4 people were said to have masterminded the killing of some people earlier on. And if you remember very clearly, as at the time that the 4 were hanged, it was a major low in the history of this country. One of the darkest period of experience, under one of our darkest experiences, under the military and Abacha. Now we're here, we have a civilian government, administration, trying to bring about restitution and reconciliation. And not just for the sake of it, but because that area is strategic, for oil exploration, and considering the role they play in the monoculture economy that Nigeria is. I would rather want that the reconciliation process should be more complete than it presently is. It's okay for us to commend the government, for the recognition of the 4, even for their exoneration, if possible. But complete reconciliation will not be achieved if attention is not paid, to the emotions of the other people that are still very strained. And
which the son shall get raised.
It's raised.
It's not even
and that's not going to be the first time he's going to raise it. I remember I once encountered him raising it on this show as well. And those concerns are very fundamental, and beyond historical references, it's also the crisis of confidence still ongoing amongst, blocs, interest groups, in that community. And you recently also referenced that a prominent senator, Magnus Abba, former senator, that is, was almost lynched. So we see a raging bitterness, an uneasy calm still continuing in that very vital community. So apart from the federal government coming in, perhaps the state government, and of course, maybe it's another time for us to highlight the importance of the local government. What are they doing? Do they exist at all in that area? What are they doing in terms of governance, in terms of registering some presence, so that we can have an enhanced peace, as the government probably intended, by the recognition we are witnessing in recent time. The one that just happened is not the first one. There was one that happened, I think, during the June 12th celebration. We're having more of this, but we have to be holistic about the approach to reconciliation, as the case could be.
Be holistic about the approach to reconciliation. Get all the parties on board, assuage all the people who feel, like you mentioned, Chuage feels that he's not been carried along. He wasn't the thick of what happened. Let me come to you. I'll come to you, Abba, Kaka, after I've gone to Dixon. What do you make of what the president has done and all issues surrounding it and attempts to assuage every side of the equation so that there can be peace once and for all and exploration starts? It will help the country anyway.
For me, selective justice will not bring about peace in our country. When you talk about wanting to reconcile the nation, there's a lot beyond Ogoni that should call for reconciliation. Nigerian leaders need to realize that indeed other parts of the country has also been terribly hurt. The Igbo people in Nigeria, what is their crime? The Ogoni 4 that has been so posthumously recognized and all of that, we have challenges going on today. What is Nnamdi Kanu still doing, languishing in the DSS cell? They see, this country, we're too selective about the application for justice, and it won't take us anywhere. It has to be holistic, like my colleague said. We need to indeed be deliberate about wanting to unite our nation and put it on a path to greatness, but not by choosing those who you may want to patronize at when it suits you. Nigeria needs to recognize that also the Igbo people are being treated shabbily, terribly in Nigeria. And there's a need for us to use the Ogoni 4 that the federal government has recognized to also call their attention to these other parts of Nigeria. If you say it is about terrorism, terrorists are being negotiated with in our country today. People will come with their arms and all of that, and government agents will sit down with them and discuss and all that. And then those who are saying, we're being treated badly in our country, and if you don't want us, why don't you allow us to go? They are called terrorists, they are imprisoned, and nobody is giving them any fair hearing. I want to use this opportunity to call the President of Nigeria his attention to the need to indeed release Mazen Nnamdi Kanu so that we can have peace in the southeastern Nigeria. Or is the President comfortable with the wreckage that we're seeing in the southeast, that the economy of Nigeria in that part of the southeastern Nigeria is in a terrible state and nobody cares? Just because there is a need to forget possibly this other part. It's not right. If the reconciliation call is not holistic, it won't take us anywhere. So, Mr. President, in these good moves that you are making towards reconciling Nigeria, it will be right to release Mazen Nnamdi Kanu and then bring all Nigerians together to discuss our common interests, because this country belongs to all of us. So for the Ogoni 4, well, what has the dead got to do with the living? But we commend the President, but the President, please, release Mazen Nnamdi Kanu,
right, let me bring in,
if you don't do that urgently, it may become another challenge for the entire country.
Let me bring in Abba Kaka here. He used the word deliberate, trying to be, the Prof used the word holistic. He used the word deliberate across board. In fact, the talk is that it was actually after the 9 were honored that those who are affiliated to the 4 said, what happened to the 4? There was an uproar across the nation, and then eventually the president now thought it wise to honor this 4. Abba, Kaka, what's your input to the discussion?
Yes, indeed. Actually, I hope that this posthumous award, national award that the president rightly gave out, will bring close this chapter of, the darkest part of the chapter of Nigeria's history. That's number one. Number two, is always good for reconciliation and reconstruction of the Ogoni land. Number three, I saw the gentleman that you interviewed 2 days ago, the son of one of
Swagebade.
Swagebade. He has, made very important points, and he should have been included in the meeting that the president had. But obviously, presidents, work with what information they have at their disposal at the time. But anyway, going back to the issue, we need to commend the NSA because there's a lot of work that went through this, and there are more work to be done. Yeah, in the future. We hope that justice will prevail. We hope that this issue of we have to be sensitive to the Ogoni people, and indeed others who are already also
who feel
shortchanged, and who feel
like Dixon raised,
exactly like Dixon raised, like the Southeast generally, and some other parts of the country as well. So that is a good move from the government to at least it's a good start.
A good start, a good beginning that will push it forward. There's a need for unity and for reconciliation. Holistic, deliberate, and thank you, Abba Kaka. You just broke them down and you watched Swaggy. All right, let's go to the Senate, where, of course, Natasha's office was unsealed.
Yeah.
She called that might be a dictator, said you're a senator like I am, threatens to sue the clerk. The clerk says, excuse me, I do not have the authority to recall anybody. So it's what I'm told to do, I will do. Let me start with you, Dixon. I'll come back to the studio because there's still talk about the case in court, the fact of apology, and the plenary is suspended. When she gets back, what is going to happen? The NBA says pending court cases should not stop her from being restored to her seat because she served the number of months. But I'm told that a resolution still has to be raised on the floor of the House by somebody before she can even be brought back. Yep.
Yes, the last time I also appeared on the show and we talked about whether she should resume or not, I took a firm position that she should resume, and that the clerk of the House has no powers whatsoever
to make it brief so we can discuss
anybody
constitutional review.
Yes, so it's a good thing she has resumed. The issue of court cases and all of that, as I still maintain that they have their internal rules, which clearly, shields them away from external influence, when it comes to issues discussed in the Red Chamber. The issues that brought about the suspension and all of that has to do with the Red Chamber. And she has resumed after serving the 6-month suspension and all of that. I want to believe that should just end the whole matter. The court cases cannot stop her from resuming to duty as Senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Thank you so much, Prof. What do you make of that? Let's make it brief. We still have to
I think it's a welcome development coming out of the Senate. That we're seeing that she can approach her office. After all, we only hope that she will also be able to get into the Hello Chamber. And of course, we also have to be mindful of complete reconciliation. I'm not sure endless acrimony will do both sides any good, considering the regard that the nation has for that chamber, as the case could be.
All right, Abba Kaka, briefly.
She actually is a courageous woman, and she has served a term of punishment. And I don't think, as the NBA has said, that pending court cases should not stop her from going in. You see the way she even came back. Nigerians are really upset and angry about what is happening at the National Assembly. And that should, I think enough should be enough, that people should, any vendetta or personal grudges should be set aside. It's supposed to be a distinguished senators, that's what they, their name is. And so they should live up to that name and allow her to resume. I'm surprised that, the Senate is becoming what it's becoming, because, the reputation of the Senate and the integrity has already been damaged. And, this personal vendetta, all senators are equal.
You think it's a personal vendetta?
It looks like.
Well, they're saying it's a matter of our roots. You didn't take the seat where you were supposed to sit.
Yeah.
to speak, and so it has to do with rules. Rules must be obeyed.
Yeah,
right?
but she has accused.
I know.
She has served the punishment.
Yeah,
She served out the punishment.
She has accused
All right,
the Senate President.
let's move ahead. She served it out.
Yeah.
People are speaking. We'll see how that works out. Let's discuss two issues now. There's the constitutional review. They've broken down this into electoral, judicial, legislative, fiscal, LG reforms, inclusive governance, security, policing, devolution of powers, strengthening institutions, citizenship, and indigenship. You have the states and local government creation. And then some are saying revert back to 1963. This whole exercise, as far as they're concerned, the Patriots, is a waste of time because this is a constitution passed down to us by the military. And then women are crying out for reserved seats. Each that they're crying out, one more should be added, so you have 37 for them, both at the Senate and the House. What do you make of that review? Let me still stick with you, Abba.
Actually, we have serious defects in our constitution, no doubt about that.
But it has been amended. We have kept on amending over time.
Yeah, of course. That's the whole idea, is you keep on amending and amending. And, you know, even the president actually promised, is it 30 or 35% for women?
Affirmative
action. And I actually should, the president's words should be taken further, because men in Nigeria have failed this country. So I think it's a good time, good idea.
So you think women would do it?
Well, of course. Even the 30% or 35% we have not
So you have
achieved
become a
it.
woman advocate?
Well, I'm an advocate of the truth at all times. So that includes women's rights, you understand? So what I'm saying is, that's why I'm really passionate about it. You know, when I see injustice, I speak out. Because, you know, the series of amendments that are needed, like, you know, state police and, you know, the kind of insecurity we have, something has to be done. Done fast.
All right, Prof, what do you think?
Yeah, I think
I also learned that aside giving them exclusive, they will contest, it's just women.
Yeah.
That they can also still contest with men.
Yes.
Prof.
Yeah, first I agree that there should be some measures to enhance the opportunity for women to be more participatory in our political process, considering our deep-rooted cultural and religious practices, you know, that are inimical to their interests. You know, if I can do something about that, it will be very gratifying to our development, you know, at the level of inclusion. Women being a major sector in the sociological setting, as the case could be. But do not forget, indeed, that constitutional reform activity has become largely quadrennial. Every 4 years we talk about reform, and it's become like a sing-song. But where has it taken us to? And that's why I've always said that our problem is not so much of constitutional reform, but one of attitude. You know, what are we doing about our attitude, predilections, peccadillos, preferences, you know, and our perversions? Are we really addressing them?
Those issues.
Yeah, those issues are deep-seated, that we need some fundamental changes that no amount of constitutional reform can actually change. You can change the constitution 2001 time if we do not focus on that one way or the other, through quality leadership, one that will lead by example, you know, not by pronouncement. You know, it will continue to nag us as a problem, and we will just be swimming in circles, which we do not want to be doing.
All right, I'll come to you, Dixon. Make it brief so we can talk about electricity.
First, I want to start off with saying the failings in Nigeria has nothing to do with gender. So it is not true that men in Nigeria have failed the country. It's
so you're not a woman advocate now?
No. It's not about advocating for any gender. I won't also sit back and listen to somebody disparage any particular gender.
I hope the women don't get at loggerheads with you when you do
It's okay, but the failings in Nigeria has nothing to do with gender. It applies to every gender, male and female. They've been part of it. So let's not,
like
please,
Prof said, attitude.
Say it is men. But about constitutional reforms, you see, for me personally, and that's also speaking for the People's Democratic Party, for us, we need a new constitution. It's not just about amendments. And that was why in 2014, the Jonathan administration commenced that process by, you know, activating the 2014 National Confab. If that document, and governance ought to be a continuum. right? If that document has handed over to the APC government by the then Jonathan administration, if that document had been taken to the National Assembly and said, listen, the Nigerian people have sat and agreed with, on certain things. So from here, can we have the people's constitution? That's what we need, and not the amendments and reamendments and all of that of a constitution that we didn't sit down to give ourselves.
All right.
So
All right.
I don't subscribe to the every now and then amendments of the 1999 Constitution at all. We need the people's constitution, and that we can get from the 2014 National Conference.
That's what even the patriots and some are saying. Take us back to 1963. This is a military constitution handed down to the people. It's not the people's constitution. All right, let's treat this. We have just about 3 minutes to treat this. Interestingly, there was supposed to be a strike by the electricity workers, but I learned it's been called off. But let's look at the issues. Demands they are demanding to include, their demands include non-implementation of national minimum wage, casualization of workers, non-provision of working tools and materials, non-payment of staff salaries since April 2025, lack of operational vehicles, among others. Abba, Kaka, in maybe 45 seconds, why is it that we're seemingly experiencing strikes? Can we deal with these situations once and for all? Why were they not paid their minimum wage?
Exactly.
Why are they not being paid their minimum
So
wage?
the minimum wage or any other entitlement should have been paid a long time ago. That is number one. And always that, people have to go on strike for their basic salaries and remuneration to be paid, which is unfortunate. And sometimes you have to go on strike before you can be listened to, which is what happened now. It's been suspended, only suspended. It means it's
suspended.
Exactly.
Just the doctors just suspended there.
Same thing. But, there are a lot of issues in the power sector. This course during the last administration.
All right, I will stop you there because I just have 45 seconds. Prof?
Okay.
Yeah, the issues that they want us to address or that they want government to address are recurring issues, not just peculiar to that sector, but practically to every other sector. And what does it mean? More action from the government.
All right, Dixon?
Yeah, this is also to remind Nigerians that the president, remember, during his campaign said, if he doesn't give us steady light, that he should not be returned. This is an opportunity for us to look at that. And then this is also one area the president ought to call for a state of emergency. If he declares a state of emergency in the power sector, some of these issues of strike here and there will just be a thing of the past.
A good place to stop it. All right, thank you so much, Dixon Iroegbu there, Prof. Adeniyi, and Abba, Kaka. Thank you, gentlemen, for being on the program and share your insights with us on the things that transpired within the week. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
But that's it for this edition of Arise Prime Time. Do join us again next week. From me and the entire team here in Abuja, goodbye. Thank you for watching.